Scene script. Ever had a guest overstay their welcome? How about one that's been hanging around since 2019? Imagine a guest who not only overstays their welcome but also turns your life upside down. That's exactly what happened when a new virus, later named COVID-19, decided to pay a visit to planet Earth late in 2019. This uninvited guest from the far corners of the world, specifically from Wuhan, China, did not come alone. It brought along confusion, uncertainty, and a whole lot of questions. In the beginning, it was like a whisper in the wind, a rumor that was mostly ignored. But as weeks turned into months, the whisper turned into a scream that could no longer be disregarded. The world began to take notice. Scientists scrambled to understand this new virus while governments struggled to keep their citizens safe. Meanwhile, people were left grappling with a reality they had never imagined. The virus was not just a health scare. It was an unwelcome intruder that started to impact our daily lives in ways we couldn't have predicted. Suddenly, our once busy streets were deserted, our bustling offices were silenced, and our schools, well, let's just say the sound of a school bell became a distant memory. Our homes became our safe havens, our only shield against this invisible enemy. As the world held its breath, waiting for answers, one thing became clear. This wasn't a fleeting visit. Our uninvited guest had decided to settle in, and it seemed like it was here to stay. And just like that, our lives were transformed. Suddenly, staying home became the new going out. Remember when we thought masks were just for Halloween? 2020 sure changed that. In a blink, the world was flipped upside down. The year 2020, or as we like to call it, the year of the mask, saw the global spread of a virus that turned our lives into something out of a dystopian novel. Countries across the globe were grappling with an invisible enemy, and the mask became our symbol of resistance, our shield against the unseen. Everyday routines transformed into a careful choreography of mask wearing, social distancing, and frequent hand washing. The simple act of stepping outside turned into a calculated risk. The mask was no longer an accessory, but a necessity, a part of our identity. It served as a stark reminder of the invisible threat that loomed in the air around us. The impact was felt far and wide. Economies took a deep dive, with businesses shuttering their doors and markets experiencing a roller coaster of highs and lows. Travel, once a symbol of freedom and adventure, became a maze of restrictions and quarantine guidelines. Our world seemed to shrink overnight, confined by the four walls of our homes. But perhaps the most profound change was in our social interactions. The warmth of a handshake, the joy of a group hug, the intimacy of a whisper, all replaced by a wave from a 6-foot distance. We became experts in reading expressions from just the eyes up, learning to find connection despite the barriers. Yet, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, there were silver linings. Communities came together like never before. We learned to appreciate the everyday heroes among us, from healthcare workers to grocery store clerks. We discovered resilience we never knew we had, and found creative ways to stay connected, even when apart. As we said goodbye to 2020, we hoped for a brighter 2021. Little did we know the story was just beginning. Ever wished for a magic potion to make all your problems disappear? In 2021, we got something close. A glimmer of hope emerged on the horizon as the world welcomed the arrival of vaccines. Scientists and researchers, the unsung heroes of our time, worked tirelessly to develop these life-saving serums. These vaccines, products of unprecedented global cooperation and scientific achievement, were a beacon of optimism in a world that had seen too much darkness. They promised a return to some semblance of normalcy, a pathway back to the life we once knew. But this ray of hope was not without its own set of challenges. The distribution of vaccines became a massive global undertaking. Imagine trying to deliver a package to every single person on the planet. Now that's a logistical nightmare. There were hiccups, of course, as there are in any great venture. Some places were harder to reach than others, and not everyone was eager to roll up their sleeves. And then, there was the ongoing battle against the virus itself. Just as we thought we had it cornered, it evolved, changing its form like a shapeshifter in a sci-fi flick. The emergence of new variants reminded us that the fight was far from over. The virus was still a moving target, and we had to adapt and adjust our strategies accordingly. But through it all, the vaccines remained our best shot at turning the tide. They represented our collective resilience and determination to not just survive, but to thrive. They were a testament to human ingenuity, a symbol of our ability to fight back, to rise in the face of adversity. With the vaccines, we had hope, but the virus was still far from defeated. Ever felt like you're running on a treadmill, going fast but not really moving? Welcome to 2022 and 2023. In these years, the world began to taste a bit of normalcy. Yes, it was a slow return, like a turtle racing against time, but it was a return nonetheless. Vaccination rates climbed higher and higher, like mountaineers scaling the peaks of the Himalayas. More arms bore the mark of a tiny needle, a mark of hope, a mark of resilience. It was a victory, a hard-earned one, against an enemy unseen. But of course, this was not without its challenges. The virus, like a shapeshifter, kept mutating, creating new versions of itself. Some were more infectious, some caused more severe illness. But we were prepared. We learned, adapted, and fought back. Scientists tirelessly worked on updating vaccines, a task akin to updating your computer's software to fight off the latest viruses. Societies began to reopen, cautiously, like a bear coming out of hibernation. Schools, businesses, parks all started buzzing with life again. The sounds of laughter, the clinking of glasses, the joy of togetherness, it all started coming back. Yet the struggle was ongoing. We were like tightrope walkers, balancing our desire for normalcy with the need to maintain public health measures. Masks, sanitizers, social distancing, they were still part of our lives. But they were a small price to pay for keeping ourselves and our loved ones safe. The road to recovery was long, and at times it seemed endless. But every step forward, no matter how small, was a step towards victory. It was a journey, and like all journeys, it had its ups and downs. But we kept going, and with each passing day, the end of the tunnel grew brighter. Progress was slow, but we were moving. The end seemed in sight. Ever wake up and forget what day it is? In 2024, we're all trying to remember what normal is. As we stand today, the pandemic continues to be a part of our lives, albeit in a different, more controlled way. We've come a long way from the initial days of uncertainty and fear. The world has adapted, becoming more resilient and smarter in the face of adversity. The buzzword now is new normal, a term that encapsulates the profound changes in our daily lives. This new normal sees us continuing with precautions, even as we slowly but surely reclaim those aspects of life we once took for granted. Masks, sanitizers, and social distancing have become second nature, a small price to pay for the safety they provide. In the world of work, remote working is no longer an exception but a rule for many. Companies have discovered that productivity can thrive outside traditional office environments. This has brought about a seismic shift in how we perceive work and life balance, with many enjoying the flexibility that comes with this new arrangement. Education, too, has seen a revolution of sorts. Virtual classrooms, once a novelty, are now commonplace. They have opened up new avenues of learning, breaking down geographical barriers and making education more accessible to all. But the new normal is not just about adaptation. It's about the lessons we've learned. We've learned about the importance of community, of standing together in the face of a common enemy. We've learned about resilience, about the indomitable spirit of humanity that refuses to be broken, no matter the odds. We've seen the best of us in the worst of times. Healthcare workers fighting tirelessly on the front lines, scientists developing vaccines in record time, individuals stepping up to help their neighbors. We're still figuring out this new normal. But one thing's for sure, we're stronger than we were before, and that's something to celebrate.